Hello people of YouTube, it's Deepak here, and welcome to DCS World 2.8.1 and Eagle Dynamics KA-50 Black Shark 3 module. Welcome to tutorial number 1, Basic Navigation. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to correctly align your INU, and then how to use your ABRIS and your INU for navigational purposes. We're not going to cover the use of the radio navigation facilities of the aircraft today. I'll cover that in a different tutorial. I'm going to be mostly reproducing the startup that I showed in the very first bonus video. However, I'm just going to focus on the actual alignment of the INU, and then I'm going to skip to the actual flying part, just so that you can all see how that's actually done. So we're doing kind of the same as I did in the previous video. We're turning on the batteries, turning on fuel quantity and standby instrument, and then we're going to dive straight into aligning the INU. Once I've got the ecran powered up, let's make sure that it's flashing. And while that's doing that, we'll get the ABRIS booted up because it takes a few moments. We'll self-test the ecran. Oh, actually, and while we're doing that, let's get the main targeting and navigational system on, because that will power our navigational instruments and boot up the HUD. The HUD does take quite a long time to warm up, so we're going to let that do its thing. And let's make sure ecran voice is ready. It is in fact not, because I didn't turn on the intercom. Let's do that again.
Ecran is ready.
Perfect, that's what we want to see. Okay, for our next trick, we're going to go down to the INU, and we're going to set it to operate mode. Now, the main mode on the INU, there are only 2 of these. There's a whole load of settings here, but, well, actually, I guess 3. There are only 3 of these modes you'll ever use. Off, of course, 2 clicks to the right to go into enter mode, and this is used if you want to manually enter waypoints, fixed points, target points, etc. And then there's operate mode, where we simply make use of those points that are already in the system, and it operates normally. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a normal alignment. Normal alignment takes about 15 minutes, and you'll be glad to hear I'm not going to make you sit through that. We'll skip to when it's actually done. Well, that's the radar altimeter self-test completed. Let's bring that down to 0 and back to 100. I won't make you sit through all of that, but I will detail exactly what stages it will go through. So you want this in operate mode, and then you want to push in the button for whichever alignment mode you're going to use, either normal or precision. If you don't select either of these, you'll do an accelerated alignment. However, I don't really recommend using accelerated alignment because it drifts quite a lot. Another thing to note, I had a slight mistake in my very first bonus video. You have to do alignment with the engines off, so that means that you're doing quite a lot of your startup before you've even started the engines. So in any case, let's go ahead and pre-select INU normal. That will now illuminate. You need to leave that button illuminated for this entire process, and then the alignment will actually begin once you flip the INU power switch on the back wall here, because that actually commands the gyros to spin. But I want the HUD up first so I can show you the symbology that we're going to have. While we're waiting on that, let's go and take a little look at the ABRIS. If I go ahead and hit plan right now, we can see that we have the complete flight plan that I created inside the mission editor, which is pretty cool. I can actually use the right roller to roll through all of these waypoints, and I can see them all. The other nice thing here is that I can actually see target points and fixed points that I've created in here as well. If I hit menu and then go to nav, we can actually map and scale in, and you will see that I have FX01, which is my fixed point, and I have TRG01 and TRG02. These correspond to the nav fixed points and nav target points that I have loaded in the INU. So this is quite nice. The ABRIS and the INU are not integrated in any way. They both operate completely independently. However, they do display the same information that you've created in your flight plan. There we go. Okay, so HUD is up. We have no pitch bars, so that should be our indication that the inertial navigation system is not aligned. Also, you'll see warning flags K and C in your HSI, and whatever these letters are in Cyrillic on your attitude indicator. This tells us that our INU system is not operating at all right now. So INU on and INU heater on. And let's come back around, and the very first thing that's going to happen is that these symbols here are going to appear. This is the Cyrillic for INU, this top line, and on the bottom part of the line we've got what looks like YB, but again these are Cyrillic characters. That's going to stay solid for the first 3 minutes. Now during this initial 3 minutes, I think what's actually happening is the platform is kind of stabilizing. After that, the YB will flash, and that will continue to happen until you hit the 9-minute mark. At 9 minutes, it will then display HB, and then you've got another sort of 6 minutes of that, and then at the very end of the process, the INU norm button will flash, and that will indicate that the whole process is complete, and that's at the 15-minute mark. Hell of a long kind of process, I know. I wonder, while this is in norm, can I hit self-coordinates? Yes, I can. And what we want to make sure is that we want to make sure that where the system thinks its starting position is corresponds with what the ABRIS is showing. Now keep in mind that the ABRIS is getting information from GLONASS. It does drift around a little bit, like it's never going to give you an exact set of coordinates, but we want these to be pretty close. And this is showing 35 north, 06 minutes 22 seconds. You can see here we're getting 35 north, 06 and 4, which is close enough for our purposes. And then easting 033 1917. Here we've got 033 193. Like if the degrees and the minutes are correct between the GLONASS and the INU, as far as I'm concerned, that's good enough for our purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off now. And if we look up here, any moment now the YB should start to flash. I'm actually going to accelerate time so we don't need to wait so long for this. And we should get a flashing YB very soon. Once we have the flashing YB, we then are able to adjust our desired heading, because in accelerated mode, i.e. when you don't push in normal or precision, it's using a stored heading. In normal and precision modes, we need to supply the heading, or at least we should supply the heading, but we can't do that before YB is flashing, because until that point the platform is not stabilized. So if we look down at our HSI just now, it's reading kind of 0 to 1 degrees, I would say, something around about that, and we can compare that to our magnetic heading, which is shown up here. Magnetic heading is actually reading something closer to 019. Now the HSI is true heading, so that might actually be okay, but what we want to do is we want to go to the F10 map. We're currently at Lakatamia and we're sitting kind of facing this way. Let's take a little reading using the ruler here and try to estimate what our heading should really be. It'd be nice if they did what many of the other modules do and actually provided this information in the knee board. So yeah, my estimate is that this should actually be about 021 is pretty close to correct. If I leave that there and we look at the markings here, yeah, 021 is basically correct. So what we want to do is we want to take a little look down here at the heading panel. Here it is. And we want to make sure that this heading is set to our correct heading. So let's roll this up to 021. Just like that. We also want to make sure that our magnetic declination is correct. This is reading, I'm guessing that's supposed to be 3.5. It's set to automatic right now. Again, let's go to the F10 map, and we want to actually display the compass rose, if we can. I can't remember actually how we get the compass rose. Let's get rid of that's from Bullseye. Let's very quickly find that. I believe it's under the kind of UI elements. UI layer. Here we go. No, I don't see it. Oh, actually, I remember now. It's always on the screen. We just need to zoom out until we find it. There it is. So if I drag the compass rose over here and put it on my location, it's saying that my magnetic declination should be positive 4.9. That's actually not matching what we've got here, so let's set this correctly as well. Otherwise, we're going to get erroneous heading readings. Now, this is important stuff, and it can actually cause fairly erroneous readings if we're not careful. So now that we've done all of this, this is our gyromag manual heading setting. We want to push it down into the manual setting, and we're telling it that we want to use the settings that I've just entered. We verify that the HSI looks correct, and then looking up here, we verify that it kind of matches the magnetic. Once we're happy with all of that, that's us slaved it to manual. We'll now move it back into the middle. The middle position is gyroscope. If we wanted to, we could move it up into magnetic mode, and in fact, if we were doing an airborne realignment, that would be the only option. Cool, okay, so I'm going to leave it here, and you'll rejoin me once I've completed alignment. Okay, and you now rejoin me at the end of alignment. At the end of alignment, you'll have HB flashing. And just to recap, this process started off with solid YB, then after 3 minutes, flashing YB, then after 9 minutes, solid HB, and then after 15 minutes, I know, long time, flashing HB on the HUD and flashing INU normal on the INU. We click this to complete the process, and you'll now see that we have pitch bars on the HUD and a heading tape. And if we look down here at our attitude indicator, it's now no longer toppled, and our HSI normally no longer has the warning K and C flags. It's now fully functional and indicating the correct heading. So this is all looking perfect. We can now continue with startup. I'll rejoin you once I've got the helicopter up and running. Okay, you rejoin me now with a completely started up and ready to rumble helicopter. And if I jump back into the cockpit again, yep, you can see everything is up and running. So let's take a little look at our flight plan that we have today. We can use the suspend button on the ABRIS to flip through waypoint by waypoint. So this is our origin point. Oh wait, I'm doing this wrong. Those are actually, I think that was the target points it was in fact giving me there. So this is to waypoint number 2. And it gives us our direction of track, distance, ETA, and all that kind of information. And it also gives you a little preview to the next one. And you have kind of a flat course deviation thing here as well, which you could use to navigate. But as I said, the ABRIS is actually not integrated really into anything. It has some integration with the data link and the cheval, but it doesn't drive the HSI or the autopilot, bizarrely. So what we actually want to do is we want to push waypoint push button on the INU and select waypoint number 2. And now, actually, I should probably disengage that. You can see the HSI swung, waypoint 2, and off it swings, and gives us a desired heading that it wants us to fly to get to waypoint 2. Or is it actually waypoint 1 I want to be going to? It's actually waypoint 1 initially. So, let me see, can I get this to show the same? No, it's going straight waypoint 2. The numbering is different on the ABRIS, it would seem. So anyway, I've selected waypoint 1. That's driving my HSI, and that's also driving the compass rose on my HUD. So we can now fly towards that target. So let's get airborne and get on our way. And on the way, I'm going to demonstrate making an INU fix, because the INU in the KA-50 does drift over time, and so you want to take fixies from time to time. And I'm also going to demonstrate the target points as well. So let's get off the ground here. And we're going to go gear up. Yep, Ekran indicates flight, which is correct. Let's get ourselves trimmed. And I'm going to make a turn to the left towards that diamond on the compass rose. And there we go. We're on heading. Oh, kind of all over the place. Let's get ourselves back on heading. Huh, okay, actually, it looks like my rudder pedals are actually not connected. So that would explain that. I'm going to get myself on heading and come off of that, and I'm going to enable the route autopilot, and it will fly me en route. Just like that. And you see the indication en route course. The autopilot will now hold us on that assigned course there. And I'm going to very quickly reattach my rudder pedals, because for some reason they're not showing. Access commands. There we go, now I've got rudder pedals. Okay, don't know why that happened. So yeah, now I can put in some rudder inputs and it actually works. So as you see, while we're en route, we're flying towards that diamond. Autopilot is handling that for us. Down on the HSI, we have the desired heading, and we have the distance to that waypoint. So that's all working perfectly normally. And if I was to switch this to self-coordinates, I should be able to confirm that they're fairly close to what the ABRIS thinks. So that would mean that this system is working normally. Now, the ABRIS will indicate when we overfly particular steer points, and I can hit map and bring the scale out and in as well to get a good view of this, and hit nav to go back. But the INU will not auto-switch, so if I want to go from one waypoint to the next, I need to then hit the corresponding keypad key. So, that's all good and well. However, let's make our way over here. That's going to be... ABRIS thinks it's waypoint 4. I guess for us it's actually waypoint 3. Let's hit that. Yep, that's pointing in about the right direction. And even the autopilot is beginning a turn. That's actually this airfield over here. And I will demonstrate the process for doing an INU fix. Because over time, you know, say you're flying for sort of half an hour to an hour, you're going to start getting quite a bit of drift. And if you want to ensure that things like stored data link points are still accurate and so on, you're going to want to kind of update the INU position, and you do this via fix taking. Now, fix taking is controlled via fix points, which you can either enter ahead of time in the mission editor, which I've done, or you can actually enter them while you're in the mission by switching your INU to enter mode, going to INU fix points, and then entering all the coordinate details. You could even do that using information from the ABRIS, which is quite handy. And an important switch for doing the update is this switch here. Nav INU fix taking method. This is also used coincidentally for recording nav target points. But you can either be in overfly mode or in the I-251V mode, which is the Schval. So you can either use the Schval or you can use the aircraft's own position. I'm going to demonstrate using the aircraft's own position initially. And my very first fix point is actually one end of the runway here. And we can show that by bringing the scale all the way in on the ABRIS, and I'll get us nice and close before going ahead and engaging that. So let's pop the autopilot off. I can do that by hitting the course button again, and now we've got manual control. I'm going to enter a descent and bring us down towards that airfield there. It's going to enter a gentle left turn. And actually I'll bring the nose up a bit so I can reduce speed. There we go. Okay. Oh, okay. I was wondering why my airspeed on the HUD there was kind of stuck. And it's because the airspeed on the HUD comes from the Doppler nav system, and I was rolled over too much. So yeah, note, airspeed here is Doppler nav. Airspeed here is actually from the pitot-static system, so that's airspeed, whereas this is kind of more like ground speed. And I believe the airspeed indicator down here is also from the pitot-static system. Okay, I'm going to bring the speed down a bit and see if I can get myself into a nice hover. Now, we don't need to be, like, absolutely correct to the meter when we're getting ourselves into our fixed taking position, because, to be honest, the INU in the KA-50 is not that accurate. But we want to be as close as we can make it to get a really good quality fix. Okay. And you should be able to see, looking at the ABRIS there, I've got a blue dot indicated at the end of this old runway off to the left here. That's my fixed taking position. So I'm going to make my way over there and get into a hover as best I can. I'm not an amazing helicopter pilot, I must say. So if I'm a little bit slow and deliberate, that's the reason why. I'm not very good at doing these kinds of things. Getting a bit of jiggle. Also, I'm flying in 2D, whereas I would normally fly in VR. And especially maneuvers like this are much, much easier in VR. But you can see I'm slowly getting into position. Let's get the speed down, and I'm going to pop the helicopter into its hover mode. So autopilot switch into the hover. If I go and take a look up there, yep, auto hover mode engaged. We'll let the helicopter settle. And if I take a look, actually I did a fairly good job of that. We're in basically the right place. So I will now go down to the INU. I'm going to select fix point, number 1. It's going to confirm to me those coordinates. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to press Cheval uncage. And you'll see the display went off. That's the INU fix taken. So I've now updated the INU with this position, and we're good to go. Now, as I said, if I wanted to create a fix point on the go, like if I'd identified a geographic location on the ABRIS, and I wanted to use that position, I can also do that. The method for doing that, let me see if I remember actually the method for doing that. I should be able to go into map, ERBL, no actually that's, yes, exactly. I go into marker mode, and then if I move my cursor, the first axis is kind of horizontal. If I then right click on this, it's then vertical. I could find a geographic position that I want, and you can see that as I move this around, I'm actually changing the ERB coordinates here on the ABRIS. So I get a position that I want. I pop my INU into enter mode. I select fix point. It says I've already got a fix point. I'm going to choose number 2, and I'm actually going to enter these coordinates here. So I've got 3. Oh, actually, I need northing first. I can press 0 for a positive, which is north, or 1 would be a negative, which is south. And then I enter 3, 5, 0, 8, 5, 5. Well, actually, it's only 1, 5. Press enter. And now it's going to be an easting, and again, that's a positive. 0, 3, 3, 1, 7, 4. Enter lights up. I press enter, and now I can pop the system back into operate. And now I have 2 fix points. I've got fix point 2 and fix point 1. But I've already done my update now anyway. Okay, so that's taking a fix point. Next trick in our book is that we have nav target points. You can see target 1 and target 2. I'm going to select target 1, and what I'm now going to do is I'm going to press Cheval uncage. The Cheval will immediately try to point at that target, however it's actually off of the maximum extents that the Cheval can move. So I can now push the button for auto turn on target, and the autopilot will now turn to try and face whatever point I've designated with the Cheval. Now sometimes this is a little bit inaccurate. We'll see how it actually operates this time. Well, actually it's spot on this time. And yeah, the auto turn worked absolutely perfectly, in fact, on this occasion. And you can see that on the ABRIS, there's a flashing box around the currently selected target point. The Cheval is pointed at it, and with auto turn on target, the whole aircraft is actually turned around. And we're now looking right at that. I could then press 2 for target point number 2. I could hit my weapon system reset, and then press uncage, and the Cheval would now be pointing at that target point as well. And so that's how that functionality of the INU works. The last feature that we have here in the INU, if I hit weapon system reset, is airfields. Airfield number 1 will always be where we took off from. So that's a really good point to have loaded into your database. Additionally, you actually have the ability to search for stuff on the ABRIS and get its target information as well. If I press search, and I can scroll through airports, VORs, NDBs, waypoints and towns. If I press again with airport highlighted, I can now see all of my airports sorted by distance. And I could scroll through these, find the one that I actually want to get to, and I could press info, and I have a set of coordinates. Oh, am I getting a bit too low here? Yeah, I'm getting a bit too low here. I could actually go ahead and put my INU into enter mode and enter additional waypoints or airfields using the coordinates that can be found in the ABRIS. So that's actually a pretty useful little facility there. So those are the absolute basics of navigation in the KA-50 Black Shark. That was me demonstrating the use of the INU, of the ABRIS, basic autopilot en route modes, doing an INU fixed point update, and also making use of the target points that you can store in the INU. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment. That's a really big help to me and to the channel. You also have the option of joining Deepak's ground crew, and I'm really very thankful to those who do. Current members of the ground crew are Frantic Stone, Mr. Yeti, Griff Nizzle, Chandro Hedgewald, J.R. Walker, Mangash, Channel Wright, Storm Kimbari, Byron Farrow, Leo Netzel, Harish Rajan, and Pink Floyd. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.